My name is Rashid Suleiman. I work with the Center for Research, Innovation and Science Policy. Today, me with my colleague Alagu will be leading this session. Before I start introducing the panelists, let me briefly explain the rationale, the background for organizing this panel discussion. During many of our interactions with masters and PhD students in extension, mainly as part of the managed young professionals development program, one of the persistent concerns among students is about the jobs where they can be meaningfully employed. So people have been asking this question for some time. As we all know, traditional job opportunities, especially in the ICR and state agricultural universities, as either as ARS scientists or as assistant professors, is really shrinking. Because there is a lot of, at least our own estimate indicate that about 1,000 students at least come out of our MSc and PhD from our national universities every year, and many of them are now working. If you get into these positions like ARS scientists or assistant professors, and many of them are working as either a research associate or SR in short duration projects in the universities, on a short duration and with limited kind of a remuneration. So, but at the same time, there are job opportunities outside the public sector, and our students are not really aware of such opportunities. Number one, and secondly, they're not confident because they also really do not know what kind of a capacities and skills are needed, or what capacities they need to enhance if they have to get into some of these kind of positions. So the main rationale for organizing this meeting is to help our students explore new avenues and also help them redefine maybe what is the kind of a career in extension. So in this webinar, we are trying to explore what are those new opportunities, which we may call now as a non-traditional kind of a thing, which such opportunities our students can pursue, and what kind of a capacities and skills are needed to get into such kind of a position. So we will hear from we have three esteemed panelists who all have completed their post-graduation, especially have their doctorates they gained. They're all having doctorate degrees in agricultural extension. So we wanted to hear from them about their career journeys. They have all taken a different path. So we wanted to know about their career journeys, the path they took, and also the knowledge and the skills students need if they have to embrace on such kind of a path. Kindly note that no, they are not recruiters. So we are basically trying to gain their insights from in terms of how do we prepare well for an emerging job market. Some housekeeping aspects, like during this webinar, kindly keep your mics muted. Ask questions through the chat, because we will try to prioritize those kind of questions. And when we have a short question answer session with the panelists, so we can use during that time we can answer some of these things. And you can also use the chat to introduce yourself. I hope that option is open where you can write your name, which institution you are coming from, and also maybe your email ID, so that now we can put them into one email ID, because many of them have registered, but some of them may not have registered and they have joined. So we also know that. So let me briefly introduce the panelists, and many of them we know for a long time because they have also contributed blogs, good practices to our AESA portal. So let me start with Suchiradipta Bhattacharjee. She's now currently working as a researcher in the area of water governance at the International Water Management Institute, Anand. She's leading research on participatory governance in water management. Suchi holds a PhD degree in extension from the Central Agricultural University, Imphal, and she also worked previously with the ICRISAT, Manage, and Indian Institute of Science. So our next panelist is we are also posting their detailed bio in the chat. Next panelist is Kritika. Sundaran. Kritika works as manager, social research and documentation at the Shroff Foundation. Shroff Foundation is an important NGO working very closely with the tribal communities in Gujarat. She holds a PhD in agricultural extension from Tamil Nadu Agricultural University and has previously worked with national newspapers and magazines. Our third panelist is Archana Bhatt. Archana is currently working as a scientist with the MS Swaminathan Research Institute, and her work focused on conserving traditional rice varieties in Wayanad, and she's part of the Community Agro Biodiversity Center of MS Saraf. Also holds a PhD in agricultural extension from the ICR National Dairy Institute. Let me also introduce my colleague Alagu, who completed his PhD in agricultural extension and joined us a year back. So he's working as a research officer here. After my introductory remarks, Alagu will be making a very small 5 minutes presentation to share the findings from the participant survey we undertook as part of organizing this kind of a meeting. So this will also help us to understand who are the people who have shown an interest in participating in this panel, and he will now moderate the panel further. So once again, welcome to everyone, and over to you, Alagu. And my colleagues Shakti and Ayush will be, if there are any technical issues, kindly. So over to you, Alagu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rashid. Okay, good afternoon, all. Today we are here to know about what future holds for us, extension graduates. So Dr. Rashid explained the rationale of the program. So while taking the interest from the participants, we decided to ask few questions. So we decided to collect few questions which can be asked to panelists. Also, we wanted to know who is really interested in this topic, like extension graduates, the career options. So we did a small Google form survey. In that, the result is presented here. So this exercise is just to introduce each other. Like now, Rashid introduced our esteemed panelists to the speakers. So now I am introducing our speakers. Now I am introducing our participant to the panelists. So most of our audiences are students and researchers, young professionals. These are the designations. We have some scientists and assistant professors and professors also there with us now. So we received around 2080 plus. Till yesterday we got a 2080 interest, and we mailed all of them, and I think we are getting people joined. These are our audience. Next slide. So what are they now? Almost more than majority, like 66% of the our participants are students, and 34% are professionals. These professionals, not necessarily they are government or assistant professor or as a scientist, like in a regular job secured post. The JRF onwards, SRF onwards, young professionals like working in non-private organizations. So they are also part of this professional thing. Next. So where are they from? Most of them, like almost 75% of them are from academic background. 37% of them from universities, ICRISAT institution 28%, and private universities. Some of them are from international organizations. Some other institutions, we got some interest from foreign countries also, Bangladesh, and NGOs also there. Yeah, next. So the overwhelming majority is extension graduates. So we can see 52% of the people are having master's degree, and 29% of them are having PhD degree. They are the participants of the seat. The other category, which is very 5% of the population, like they are from different background, but they are interested in extension. So how serious these people are, like the participants now. So they're very serious. I think 76% of the people want job really in non-public sector. So they want guidance, and only 7% of them don't want. Maybe they are probably from well-secured government jobs, and 17% people are still in dilemma. Next. So why are they here? They are here to find new job opportunities. what is there for extension. Second, 21% of the people really understand that they want to prepare themselves for non-public sector job. So, and 17% of the people are there for knowledge. It includes assistant professors and the scientists. They wanted to guide their students to get these positions outside. So, this is the short presentation. So, I think now let us move to the panel discussion, right? So, let me once again invite Suchi, Kritika, and Archana. We are really happy and glad that you are here. And so let me pin your faces in the screen. Start with my own understanding and like how I felt when I completed my master's and PhD. During my PhD, mostly I can express that like I was anxious and confused where I will get job other than AP and ARS. So that was the main concern I was having in my heart during my PhD. After completing PhD also, like at the end, like we will be submitting our dissertation, we will be thinking, what we will be doing after this. So that was the first foremost thing it was happening in my mind. So I feel like many of our extension graduates who qualified masters and doing PhD, they will also have that similar anxiety and confusion. They are also worried what is our future, what future we can find in extension. So can you, how did you feel? Like I want to start with Suchi. Did you feel similar worry and anxiety during your PhD, after PhD?
Hi, Alago. Yes, I think that's an universal feeling. I think most of us, I can't speak for all, but I think most of us feel that. Um, Personally, for me, it was more daunting because uh, for whatever reasons, I didn't want to get into ASRB. I didn't want to go into AP positions or assistant professor positions. So it was really hard for me, to be very honest, because I didn't know what else to do. Because everyone talked about that. My friends were preparing for ASRB, or preparing for AP. Everyone talked about that, the exams that we give, right, net, etc. That's just all we see. So it was scary. It was really scary and really daunting for me. But also at the same time, I was looking for opportunities, like random opportunities where I could see like my skill sets, my training could remotely be applied. uh, I was very lucky. I got a chance to get into manage, because that really changed the course. Again, I think one of the important thing to mention here is that I come from a place, I was in Northeast. I didn't know when I got into a BSc agriculture, I didn't know about an organization called ICAR. It was after I got admission into Central Agricultural University, I came to know that there is an organization called ICR. It took me another couple of years to understand what ICR is and ICR does. So all of that, right? And then when I was doing my master's PhD, I was still in Northeast. I was in CAU, a small university. There was hardly anyone to actually guide. I had heard random conversations about going abroad, but I have absolutely no clue how to go abroad, how to apply, how to approach, whom to approach. Like, these are like very, it's so distant dream kind of thing. I had basically no idea, and no one to talk to or guide me through. So definitely, coming out of that and going to manage was huge for me, because then I got to know what else is happening around in the world. And another thing that happened is I also got to work in, but I'll come to that later. Probably that was not your question, but the kind of roles that I had, that opened up my eyes to what I could do, can go, try for, etc. So yeah, the daunting part, universal, definitely there.
Great. Okay, can I ask Kritika how you dealt with your anxiety? Did you feel really?
Hi, Alako. Hi, thank. Good afternoon, everyone. So, to answer to your question, I rather took a very unconventional path, because by the time I was doing my doctorate, I was having some no experience with 7 to 8 years in the media. So, but yes, I would, as always, any no doctorate or extension professional have, like, I had a question in my mind: what would we do after this doctorate? How is it going to add value to my no experience which I have, or how, the skills that I have? So that was always in my mind, like, how do I going to go forward with this kind of skill set in the future? But doing a doctorate was, I would say right now, that it was a wise decision, because it has helped me add to my no existing skills, and it gave me more confidence. I would say that confidence of no having a diverse field experience right now is very important, because no, as extensionists we are multi-skillers. Like, we need to be a multi-skilled person, rather than no, we have to wear that multi hat. So that is being very important. I would say that not just agriculture field, but in any other fields. So that it brought me that diverse skill sets, and it added to my research skills as well. So it in fact helped me to create a fit myself into the job market, rather than saying that it is creating a kind of job insecurity. I always thought that, how will I fit into this job market? How would I develop my skills into fit to into this job market? So that exactly I was planning during my PhD itself. So that helped me to reduce my worry or anxiety, whatever you call. But I would rather not say an anxiety, but a little bit of confusion of what would I be doing in the future. So
Yeah.
that's it, right?
Okay, great. I think your experience, like the 7 years of experience before getting into the PhD, really helped you to
Yeah.
maybe you are secure by yourself. Like unlike me, I just completed UG, PG, PhD, like continuous, no break. So suddenly, I had to find a job outside. I just started. I wanted to think that way. So that anxiety was there. So I'm really happy that you had some security before entering PhD. That is a great thing. Now, Archana, you were my senior when I joined. You exited NDRI. I'm so happy to see you here. So, share
Hi.
your experience. Yeah.
Hi. So, in my case, if I'm being honest, I don't get very anxious when it comes to serious matters. I'll get anxious in little things. So, I was not that anxious about the job security part, because I don't know, somehow I felt that I'll find something out, because if I'm studied this much and I've been a good student, I'll find something out. And at that time, actually, I also needed a break because I got married. And also, I thought I'm studying for so long continuously. I thought it would be better to take a small break. And I was looking toward like where I can fit myself into, because I was again fortunate to be part of, studying into very different learning atmosphere. That is one, my master's in Padmagar and PhD from NDRI. So actually the learning atmosphere is very, very different, which we can clearly see if you have studied there. So Panagar, the department is agricultural communication. So the faculty is also very diverse. There are people from pure mass comm, there are people from extension, gender, then different dimensions. And it was very much activity oriented rather than purely academic. And by chance, one of my seniors suggested, told me to apply for PhD entrance in NDRI, and I did. And I got into NDRI, where it was very much academic oriented. So, but my core was always into activity oriented, because I don't know, I like doing things more rather than studying continuously. So okay, so that's how. Then somehow I took a break, around 2 year break. Meanwhile I was trying to figure out where I can go into, which area I could go into. I did some travel blog writing also meanwhile in that gap, and I was finding my where I should fit into. And then MSSRF, MS Swaminathan Research and Foundation, it came into play, because so then I entered into an NGO sector, which is very different. And there my both the skills, like the academic and the activity oriented, came, like it really helped me tackle that path. So that's how I transitioned into this sector.
Okay. Okay, great. Now, can you, Sachi, again, I'll start from you again. Can you tell me whether the training in masters and PhD from agriculture universities in India helped you after completing your degree? Could you use it immediately, or else you had to learn something new?
Um, it has been a mix of both. I don't think, our academic careers like graduation, post-graduation is meant to actually teach us everything that we learn on the job. But having said that, when I studied, the extension syllabus was really, so what I do, first I'll say what I do, because I do a lot of policy research from a, political economy lens. So for that, it really didn't prepare me. That has been my job. What I have learned across this is my fourth job. So what I have learned across these years in different roles, that has played a very important role. But also what my extension training did is kind of build the basics. So definitely it is there. But I still think, again, I have to mention that the extension syllabus has changed now. And, huge thanks to actually Chris, Manage, and Dr. Suleiman is sitting here, to him and others who have been actively engaged in the process for doing that, for taking up that initiative and changing it, because now it's way more suited. For me, because my interest has always been in policy research, somehow, starting from my master's research, I have engaged into policies and policy research, working with the street level bureaucrats, etc. So those have kind of pushed my interest into that area. And extension probably, built some of the basics, but not really, not like, to a larger extent. Even for landing my current role or the previous roles, I think it's again, the work that I have done in my previous job has added to my skill set, developing my skill sets, and then it is where I am. It is where I am. But so I mean, I'm glad the extension syllabus changed, and probably my juniors are way more well equipped.
Okay, now as you say, like the policy, your present role, for present role extension, your master's and PhD did not prepare you, actually, for your present role. But when you landed in Manage, how it was, like the first job, like maybe this over a period of time, in the last 3 jobs, you evolved yourself and you got this. So the first initial job, how it was, that is what I really wanted to know. And so that our audience also will be able to, okay, this is what I have. With that, I can survive in some area. So
Right.
some hope.
Right. So it was like I have mentioned in the beginning, that it was great to be part of Manage, because I could really expand my skill sets, but also understand what I was capable of doing. My extension training helped in that? A little bit, definitely, because Manage is the National Institute of Agricultural Extension Management. So, it does help, because that's my core area. But then the work that I was doing there, the kind of research that we were doing like scoping studies, understanding the extension system of a whole state. So that kind of work, definitely it was new to me. I learned that. But additionally, what I also did was I was training coordinator. So for that 1 year, 8 months that I was in Manage, I was actually managing training programs. So that people skill, presentations, designing those training programs, those are something that I never learned. That was something that I learned on the job that time, and it's still helping me. Then internship coordinator, right? I was also internship coordinator. We were working with young people, young graduates. I was a young graduate that time too, but then working with them, having those regular conversations with them, figuring out together what research the interns can take up. That helped me really to build my own understanding of research, as well as strengthen my understanding of research, what needs to be done, etc. Another important thing was the network, right? I think that was a very important thing, because I got in touch with many people, because we had this, first of all, we had these training programs for mid and senior level officials from different states on different very topics related to extension. I learned with them. But also talking to the participants, I learned a lot. Then we had research-oriented trainings, we had policy-oriented trainings, and then the organizations like CRISP, etc. I came, in touch with them and better understood what policy research is. Along with that, also again, in Manage, like I mentioned, the research that we are undertaking, scoping studies, understanding value chains in the states, across the states, talking with the bureaucrats, the policymakers. That gives you a very different understanding of the research that we do. In my master's and my PhD, I was doing academic research. These are not academic research. These are policy-related research, working on the ground level, what the policymakers need, right? So that's a very different outlook. The recommendations that you bring from there, it's very different than what academic research does. So that opened up my avenues a lot. And yeah, like again, the basics of extension definitely helped, but it was a lot more that I learned on the go. And those are the things that played a crucial role.
Yeah, that is another reason why you are really happy that the extension curricula is upgraded, because during your job you learned so many things. The basic is steady, but still we have to build a whole building when you join the job. So, Archana, now I wish to know your journey and how you entered MSSRF, and what was your transition? Like whether you could use whatever you learned during masters and PhD as such, or else you had to upgrade yourself.
So definitely I use a lot of my master's and PhD related skills when you join an NGO sector, especially when you're working with the community at the local level. So, a lot of things we used to study in theoretically, like project management, gender dimensions, but how to actually include it in practice was where I think I upgraded myself while on the job. But the basics definitely help. Then again, like Suchira, it also mentioned this training coordination of training programs. So we used to have, like in masters also, we used to have some national teachers training program in our department where people from different states used to come, and my guide Kashyap sir, he used to involve us in the entire coordination of the training program. So that definitely helped. And also during masters and PhD, I had attended, I think, 2 or 3 workshops that were organized by Managed along with Chris Penesa also, which are related to research methodology, sometimes as a participant, sometimes as a training facilitator, which really, really helped actually, because now while on the job, one of the major activities we do is also coordination of different training programs, that too for different kinds of people from different backgrounds, from different genders, from different education level. So I think that part really, really helped me. But of course, doing it in action at a larger scale in different, areas, subject area, disciplines is really different than, studying. But the basics, like she also mentioned, the basics of extension, including be it gender, be it project management, be it participatory methodology, it really helped in actually implementing those things. Like it really helped me in doing it in like as an action research or a developmental work.
Yeah, the letting us strong in theoretical ways, that is there. Like both of you are telling the same thing, but how extent that theoretical things are easily convertible when you are in the first job. Like,
It's not
was there
easy.
any challenging?
Yes,
That
yes,
is
yes.
yeah,
Yes.
right.
If I'm being honest, it's not at all easy. Learning something, reading something for some exam or academic purpose is very different than actually doing it, because there are a lot of, multiple factors will
Yes.
affect what you're doing, like how
Right.
the people are, what are the resources available with you in terms of funding, in terms of time, in terms of other resources, in terms of human resources, and the perception of the community also. What kind of people are coming for the program, and how will you implement those activities at ground level? So those factors definitely that are a huge challenge, where the support of your staff and what kind of networking you have, and that part really comes into play.
Okay. Yeah, great. Yeah, that is real true factor, because after joining at CRISP also, I also really felt that like we have to learn many things by ourselves, which are not really the practical orientation, which is not there in the universities. So that's why I really asked. Maybe I felt that. So I assume our participants also some the same cadre, so they will also be thinking. So now moving on to Kritika. So you had a sandwich like a master's, then in between experience, then there's a PhD. So how it was like the transition, and how did you find it? Like how you evolved in this like journalism and extension space. Yeah.
As Archana and Suchiradipta mentioned, that what we get in academic is the basics of research, basics of analysis, analytical skills. But and there is always a gap between what we are in the academic field and then what really actually happens on the field. So on-job training is something which can give you a lot of exposure, which academic actually, which say we need to develop a lot in academic section. For example, NGOs look not just academic research is not just academic action research. It is basically directly, it is involving the community into it. So it shapes the interventions. So as our extension landscape is also changing, we are moving towards a lot of climate, a lot of gender, agroecological approach. So we need to keep updated and abreast ourselves about the changing scenarios. And then we also need to if you see the transition, if you actually see, I was more into project writing on everything into the current role, which was quite different from the research proposals which we had done. So that our stakeholder taught me how to do this kind of grant writing proposals. It was completely different from our research proposal. So these kind of trainings is what on-job training can give you. And more than apart from that, you'll be directly involved in project planning, project implementation. You'll be dealing with a lot of stakeholders, one side government, one side CSR partners, and one side the farming community. So all the three stakeholders, how we are networking, how we are managing, how we are bringing value to the system. So that all learnings come only when you are in the job. So academic gave the basics, but to build that, we definitely need to upgrade our skills, which came for me in on-job training. So that gave me a lot of opportunities because it gave me a lot of exposure to learn. That is what once you learn, once you are in the field. So that is how it happened. So
yeah. Okay, maybe a very quick question. Are we job ready? A very simple question. Like whether our universities make graduates job ready? Like yes or no, maybe. How do you see? Like it's a complex exercise. Yes, no, maybe. Like Archana?
I think we need to work a bit more on the practical aspects.
Okay, right. Suchi?
I completely agree with Archana. Yes. While we have the basics, we do need to develop some more skills.
Okay, Kritika?
Yes, I know I second both of them because skill training at at the PhD or master's level itself is very important because I think we are more focused towards a lot of academic aspects, but reality and real life situations dealing and scenarios dealing. I think we need to put ourselves into some sort of simulation training kind of things. So that is very important, whether it is monitoring and evaluation, whether it is project implementation or network or collaborations. I think we have to make ourselves job ready right from our masters and doctorates itself. So we have to look for opportunities in that way, or how to do it, whether it has to be changing in the academic aspects, or should we go for internships, or should we update ourselves. I think we have to make ourselves job ready, and right now I don't think we are job ready.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the straightforward answers. Okay, now let me ask Kritika, do we have an exclusive job market here? Like there is a job market which is exclusive for extension people. Is it real or myth?
I would say we do have 100%, I would say, because if you see the current scenario, job scenarios, a lot of people who are in the development, who are practicing as development practitioners, are mostly from non-agri backgrounds, but they have done as social work as their subjects. So if you see, it is dominated by these people, and whereas we have both the technical knowledge and we are, I would say that we are far ahead, but we are not exploring that particular pathway. So if you see, the dominant real of non-agriculture sectors are being dominant here in the development sectors as far as I have seen. So I think that we have opportunities which we need to explore a lot.
Okay, there is something existing, but we are not tapping into it. That's what you are saying. Okay, what about Suchi? Like, do we have an exclusive market?
It's just I can say +1 to what Kritika said.
Okay, right, very good. Yeah.
Right. I'll just expand a little bit. So exactly what Kritika said, that, we have the added advantage that we have is the technical background, agriculture, horticulture, animal husbandry, whatever it is. So it actually keeps us one step ahead. But one of the very unfortunate thing I have to say, given right these days I work a lot with CSOs, what I see is that I hardly see any extension graduate applying in the or working in the CSOs. I do not understand why, but I think one of the major, probably, again, I'm assuming that's an issue that, because we do not see exclusively agricultural extension written in the job description, we don't apply, right? But everything that says development sector, social studies, humanities, all of that, we actually are perfectly fit into that, but somehow we are just letting them go. It's very unfortunate. I just want to mention that. Yeah, but other than that, +1 to what Kritika said.
Great. Archana, do you want to add?
I agree 100% with that, because in an institute like us also you'll see a lot of people from social work, masters in
Yeah.
social work, but we
Yes.
have an added advantage when it comes to a technical part, as she mentioned also. But I think we are not broadening our lens unless and until we see agriculture word written there. We are only looking after that. But I think we need to broaden our, we need to explore more where we can fit, and we can fit in a better way actually.
So we are self-restricting in many sense. Okay, so since the term agricultural extension is not explicitly mentioned in the job notifications, job advertisements, we are like, okay, it is not for me. It is for sociology and anthropology people, economists. It is not for us. That's how we are perceiving. But we should be really pushing ourselves in those places, and we will be much better candidates than many others. That's what you guys are saying. Okay, very good. Clean. Okay, next. Maybe in your sector, maybe I should start with Suchi. Now, water sector, maybe. What are the job opportunities are there for extension?
Okay. So water sector, I have to mention that I work in the intersection of water and agriculture, but also I work in
Yes.
policy, right? So it's
Right.
kind of a
Okay.
very
Nexus.
it's a Venn
There is
diagram.
a Venn
Yeah, it's a
diagram, right?
it's
Yeah.
a nexus. Huh? So right now I'm in research organization. So definitely, the positions that you see here are all research oriented, but also research that has policy, that these are policy research. But they are very field oriented. We do a lot of action research. Like Kritika was mentioning before, with the field partners, with CSOs, with farmers, etc. But the goal of these action research is to inform policy. End of the day, the idea is to inform policy, right? So you will see a lot of, research positions in the development sector, in CGIR, at EME. So these are the positions in my organization right now. But beyond that, because I have moved across and moved around a little bit, what I can see is that, beyond CGIR also, I think there is a lot of opportunity in the CSO sector, especially. Archana is the expert. She can talk more about it. But because I work with them a lot, again, I'll be mentioning a bit, that definitely extension professionals, extension graduates should apply in the development sector, because that's pure extension. They work with the grassroots, they work with the governments, they work with the other donor organizations. You can see the policy engagement, you can see the grassroots engagement, and that's pure extension. So there is a lot of scope there. Then also, there is another, in terms of, again, I'll talk a little bit in terms of skill as well, so that it's helpful for everyone to match these roles. Definitely research skills help a bit, but the core extension, the talking and, connecting, building those networks, knowledge exchange, all of those are actually very important for different job roles that exist in CGIR, beyond CGIR, for extension graduates. Writing skills, again, another important skill that anyone in any role should definitely develop. But yeah, these are the major roles in, not the water sector, but in the intersection or the nexus kind of thing that
Got it.
exists.
Like, right. Archana, can you add like CSO sector? Like Suchi said, that you will be able to, how CSO sector is open to the extension professionals.
Yeah, so I can talk on behalf of my experience at MSSRF. So
Yes.
since most of the NGOs, I think, work either in pure development sector or it will be a mix of research and development. So MSSRF is more like a both research and development both. So you will get positions like scientists or someone who is working purely in research. It can be a research come development, a mix of both as well. Then there can be pure development oriented positions as well, like development coordinators, development associates, training coordinators, someone who is specialized in gender. Even there are posts related to come as a communication manager or a documentation expert. So there is I mean, all these dimensions actually come under, the area of extension first professional actually. So there are a lot of areas where our skill set can come into play, be it social media manager, be it communication manager, be it training coordinator, be it a pure researcher or scientist or a development coordinator. So I think in a NGO or a CSO or a non-profit trust working, especially in community related, community development, these different kind of positions they keep on coming.
Yeah, but these positions do not explicitly say extension. So that is the
Yeah,
reason why
but
we are not really caring about it.
yeah, because sometimes it will be only masters in life
Yeah.
sciences, sometimes masters in social sciences, sometimes it will be PhD. It's not necessarily written extension there. It will be
Yeah.
only written agriculture. Sometimes it will be only life sciences or something like that. So most of the time we won't be seeing it. Or sometimes what happens in, I think, in what I have experienced, sometimes it's not that much visible also to everyone. So I
Yes.
think we need to follow such institutions or such organization where the possibility is there, so that whenever they announce any openings or vacancies, we'll know and we can apply. At least we can apply, then we can see later what happens.
Right. Great. Kritika, can you add to these two? Like they like a researchers view, CSO's view, and what is your view? Like, do we have a like in your sector? Like now you're also in a research management and the documentation, right? So again, CSO, what are other roles which you found?
Alago, to be frank, NGOs do more extension work than any public sector organization.
Right.
That is the core work in any non-governmental organization, which is especially focusing on livelihood and development. And a lot of agriculture, brings it up with that. So if you see, a lot of research activities and development activities go on in any non-governmental organization. So you can be a policy analyst like how Suchiradipta is there. You can be in the research aspect. You can focus on action research. There is me, monitoring and evaluation specialist. There is a position called impact manager. And there are position in communication specialist positions exclusively open, which we don't see, which we are working with farmers and the communication aspects. A lot of positions are open with regard to that. And there is data analysis with regard to research activities. So what all these domains basically require, any NGOs, development sectors basically require people who can think, and not just having academically thinking it, but problem solving thinkings. Like you're working with a community, you need to adaptability is what they look for. So that problem solving skills and combined with your technical skills. And when you do that, then I think that this initial stage in any organization, leave alone an NGO, it will be very modest and it could be taxing for you. But then once you get that expertise, and then when you learn that skill, then it will be a growth spurt for you. So this is what I would say. There are many opportunities which we have to look for, which will not be written as agricultural extension, but which will have agricultural extension job descriptions under their purview.
Okay, so we should read the job description, not the
Yes, that is
eligibility
what.
criteria or else
Yeah.
the title.
Yeah, JD is one which right now I can also suggest youngsters who are doing their masters and PhD who wanted to look into a non-public sector job opportunities. You go into the GD of Naukri or whatever positions which LinkedIn they have posted it. Read the JDs and you can start preparing your competency up to that. You can see what all the requirements of a particular organization, what they look for. So the JD describes what kind of role which will be available for extension graduates.
Yeah, so the graduate should not get disappointed or else demotivated for not seeing extension exclusively in the title, job
Yes.
title. But they should go to the job description and see what all the things are there and how much they are really capable to perform those duties, so that they can choose based on job description, not based on eligibility or else the title.
Yes.
That's what you're
Build
saying.
on your strengths. Like some of us will be very good in writing, some of us will be good in communication, some will be good in research and analytical skills. So we can build up our core strength on that, and then make ourselves fit into that particular job role.
Yeah.
So rather than thinking the other way, the job should fit into our thing. We need to fit into the job role.
Great. Right. That is true, really. We are maybe we are too much expecting to job should observe us. So maybe that. Okay, and we are traditionally developing our competencies around this teaching and research. And as you said, both of Suchi and Kritya, like we are doing so, you guys are doing so much of action research at the field, which are little different from the academic research which is done at the universities. So how much competent we are? Like what are the competencies which we don't have to just enter? Like we previously in the previous questions we discussed about the theoretical base is strong, but practically we need to really upskill ourselves. So can you talk about the competencies which yours organization or else the sector which is in case of Suchi it is research, how much, because the action research is different from academic research, how we do in universities and what you do in IMI will be different. So can you talk about the competencies and the lack of competencies and how much we have to build?
Okay, do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. So in terms of, I prefer to talk in terms of skills because I feel that's easier, right?
Okay.
So in terms of skill, definitely because I'm in research, so I'll talk more about that. I have been in
Yes.
research, right? So I know more about that. I'll talk about that. So definitely, having a good understanding of research methodology, be it quantitative, be it qualitative, it's always good if you have understanding, a good basic but strong understanding of both. Basics, not like you don't need to know everything of everything, but a bit of both.
Yes.
That's always helpful. That's one thing. The second is data analysis and visualization. These are very important again, especially because I'm in the policy research domain. I feel that like every day that is what I need, right? Data analysis, data visualization, secondary and primary data analysis. Those are really helpful. That's on the core research part. Then we have the writing skill. Kritika has mentioned, I think Archana has also mentioned that in passing. Writing skills are very important. And the thing about the work that we do, especially, development sector, even in research, I'm in the development sector. And the work that we do, what I have really well understood is that no one reads research paper. I'll be reading, few of my colleagues would be reading, my reviewers would be reading. Other than that, no one would read my research paper. It's the policy briefs that I write, it's the open-eds that I write, it's the blogs that I write, that would be read by people. So how well I communicate the core idea, right? That's very important. I always say this, I have told that before also, and I try to practice. It's difficult, but I try to practice also is that, whenever I'm writing something, it has to be clear that what is the central message that I'm trying to give, right? Fine, these problems exist. Most of the time policymakers know better than me that these problems exist. They are not sitting there, not knowing that. They know that. What they want to know from me is what they can do about that, what they can easily do about that. Depending on their context, the resources that they have, the limitations that they have within those constraints, what they can do. And I need to communicate that clearly to them, and then it becomes usable to policymakers, to the people that actually right now in my position I'm trying to kind of talk to, or before I have done that. Like when I was in DST, I was part of this for 1 year. I have been extensive, 3 years actually, extensively I've engaged with Department of Science and Technology as part of the STI fellowship, and there I learned that how important it is to communicate. And the way you communicate to policymakers is very different. You have to be crisp, the message has to be simple, it has to be clear. That's very important. That's something in academia we really do not learn. So that's something that I'll focus on. Data visualization, again, very important. That's a skill everyone should learn, irrespective of which sector you are. If you are into documentation, if you are into knowledge management, I think that becomes important for everyone, for research as well. Sectoral specification, like we have all mentioned before, that our sectoral specification gives us that added advantage. So that's also a competence, that's a skill that I would definitely add to the list. Other than that, yeah, I think these are the skills. So along with that, just one more thing two more things actually I would mention in case I forget them later. One is going for internships. There are many opportunities these days. They are increasing every day. So try and look for internships, fellowships, etc. in different sectors. Apply for those. Those are really helpful. The governments are coming up with so many internships, the young professional fellows, etc. These are all these positions are there. They are very important to build your practical skills, the skills that we are talking about, practically, engaging, networking, etc. All of those can be built there. So that's one thing I would really like to mention. Second thing, again, in case I forget later, is what I see more and more these days. Earlier, those management institutions, they used to have this placement cells. Right. Now I see even IITs are having placement cells for their masters of public policy, schools, etc. They have their own placement cells. Why don't agriculture colleges, universities have their own placement cells? That's something we should really need to work with. Those would give us the idea of what the job market is. That would give students very good idea of what the job market is, who are requiring those people, those candidates, what kind of skills they need to develop, and that would actually create that environment, to develop those skills. The need for universities also to work on developing those skills. So I think placement cell is something that that universities should really focus on at this point. Yeah, I'll stop here.
Okay, great. Maybe since you added internship, I will just merge that internship part also to Kritika. What internship can do to improve the competencies for getting employed in your job, in your sector? Can you show some light?
Yes, every organization or most organizations, I would say, have internship opportunities which you can approach them, or else they they advertise it through their websites and everything. You can look for such internships which focus on, you can be a research executive, you can be a data, you can help with the data analysis, you can be a part of the project team and take a role in training. You can be a training facilitator. You can directly involve with the community, and you can help with the project implementation aspects. So you can learn how stakeholder, you need to keep abreast with the kind of rural development schemes and projects which currently which are running right now. How do we leverage these schemes? How do we converge these schemes? And how important they play a major role in rural development, integrated rural development. So all these real learning scenarios which we cannot get it in your academic, you can get it in a development sector or any CSO sectors. So because the real work happens over there, real rural development works happen over there. So that is the interns can learn over there. And as your previous question with regard to which I have been, that how can research be a major role? Because if you see academic research and action research, it has a whole lot of difference, because it directly shapes interventions. If I say you need to work with 10,000 and 20,000 households, so you need to focus on what kind of research designs have to be done, whether it is a longitudinal survey, should we go for a qualitative survey, should we go for a quantitative survey, and how long what is the percentage baseline what you will be doing, endline what you will be doing. So all mostly these projects will be long term, for 4 years or 5 years. So your work will not just be finished in just 6 months or 7 months. You have to 4 years of monitoring and evaluation. So all these aspects we have to focus on when you are in the field. So your skills, basic skills, will be a different one when you're applying it in the rural scenario.
Okay. So along with like Suchi was mentioning, like writing for different audiences, we have to write to policymakers in the language they understand. So you are also working in the documentation sector, like you are doing documentation as a part of your role. So what are other skills, like along with the documentation, what are other skills, research skills, like action research, like Suchi was mentioning about the data analysis and the data visualization. So along with that, what are other skills like our participants should be taking, like they should be imbibing it along with their PhD and master's course?
Communication, if you say it's a continuous learning process, I would say that it doesn't come in a day or two. It comes as it is a process. So we need to focus on a continuous learning, which is very important. And then most of the researchers in development sector are evidence based. So you need to report, evidence based documented report. How do you present yourself? Like Suchiradipta must be knowing better how to work along with policy related papers and everything, policy briefs. So that is very important. We need to learn how to write a technical paper, and apart from that, you will be if you are a communication person, you will be focused on writing blogs, and you need to know write how to document success stories, case studies, your annual reports, and coffee books, compendium books. So all these requires a lot of documentation skills, which I think it has to be a continuous process.
So we have to learn more.
You have to read more. You have to read more. Read a lot. Read a lot. Not just about technical and non-technical. You need to keep learning. Keep reading at least two to three papers every day, whether you are going digital or non-digital, whatever it is. But that is how you start equipping your skills.
Okay. Archana, can you add on this, like the competencies, and is there a role internship can bridge, like for building the competencies which we lack as a graduates and PhD graduates in extension?
Yeah. In fact, when it comes to internships, actually, I have felt this from the master's time itself, that I think some 1 month or some internship period should be part of our curriculum itself. Because in my master's, actually, I did a 1 month internship during the semester break. And when I joined in an NGO called Chirag, which is in Uttarakhand, and when I joined there, I got to know that almost all the universities who are doing this bachelor's in botany, zoology, social work, all of them actually have a provision to participate in internship programs. So the most of the interns that had come there at that time were actually studying, like they were doing their masters or something. So I felt like, why is it not there in agricultural system? Because it will definitely help us a lot, because that 1 month actually also helped me a lot, dealing with community, actually what they are thinking, do some short-term study in a month or so, and how to deal with people, how to be flexible in different kind of situations, because we had to stay in a homestay with the community, because that was the kind of arrangement was there. So internship definitely plays a very, very important role. That's what I feel. When it comes to the main competencies in an NGO sector or CSO sector, it requires both research and development oriented skills, but both are very different in my observation. Because development, when you're going for a development oriented work or action research project, you need to have very good command on community mobilization, networking with people, and communicating in a layman's language, whatever you are going to implement or do. So that is a very important part when it comes to, especially I'm talking from my experience. And if we can also equip ourselves in the area of project cycle management, because in most of the NGO sectors we deal in a project mode. Some project comes, it has certain objectives that we have to fulfill, we have to implement and do, then go towards impact evaluation and then communicating the results and all. So the project cycle management, I think that skill set, like program planning, implementing it, evaluating and communicating, that competency is very much needed in an NGO sector, as far as my experience that I have seen for now. And also how to develop participatory methodology, how to implement participatory methodologies like PRA, RRA, or since I'm working in biodiversity area more, or agrobiodiversity, so there are different kind of participatory methodologies which we never study or we are not aware of also. Like instead of farmer field school, there is something called diversity field school. So those are the kind of methodologies that I think we need to be more skilled on when we work in a particular sector, especially dealing with community. So participatory methodology is very, very important.
Okay. Do you think internship? I think all of you are saying like internship is a possible way to bridge this. Like whatever the competency gap is
And
there, which can,
sometimes, like
yeah,
in MSSRF, we also offer internships and fellowships to students. Sometimes what happens, some interns come, they join an organization as an intern, maybe 1 month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months, and sometimes there is a project and it aligns with their competencies. They can also, they also have an opportunity to join the organization also.
right.
So I think joining as an intern in some organization also opens doors for job.
Okay, yeah, right. They may get absorbed in the same organization where they
Yes,
were
yes,
trained.
yes.
Okay, great. Okay, then like already you guys talked about the eligibility of the CSO sector. No, like they don't mention extension, but how we are different. Along with agricultural background, technical background wise, we are strong. But if we compare with agribusiness management and economics people, so whatever the skills which you have talked so far, that whether it can be performed by agribusiness management and agriculture economics people, they also have the similar background like BSc agriculture. So how we are different and how we can navigate? Also, they are also part of our job market. We have to with them, be with them. So Archana, can you start?
I think the other way actually, because when I joined here in MSSRF, I joined as an agriculture scientist. So it was not nothing related to extension per se. I'm the only, I think in the regional center, I'm the only person from agriculture background. All other people are from different backgrounds. And
Okay.
as I navigated in this job, I started working on like very different dimension, which is not fully agriculture extension also, but the skills I gained through extension education definitely helped in working in that area. So definitely other people from other discipline are working in our area, but I think we can also work in their area as well if we gain some skill sets. For example, recently now we are working on something related to characterization of a traditional variety to apply for its possibility for applying for a GI tag. So basically, actually, it's a more related to plant breeding. But since community is involved, definitely we'll be work in collaboration with an expert who also knows breeding and all. But we can also conduct these kind of activities with the help of a expert, because when participation of community is involved, extension definitely comes into play, or our skill set definitely comes into play. So I think we can also work or equip ourselves in skills besides core extension and other, because our basic degree anyway is in agriculture, so we have
Yeah.
some basic idea of agronomy, pathology, entomology, like that. So how if we have some interest in a particular area, I think we can also develop our skills over time, and navigate skills from different disciplines and how to integrate it in core extension.
Okay, right. Suchi, what is your view? Like how whether the job market is for all or else it is exclusive, and how we are different from other like sociology, who knows agriculture, the agriculture sociologists and the agriculture economists. Like some people in JNU, they do research in agriculture, core agriculture, but they have a degree in sociology. So they are actually occupying our space, like which earlier you mentioned. So how whether it is it or else how we can differentiate ourselves, or else as Archana says, we have to like as an interdisciplinary only. That's how we have to perceive.
Right. I think in essence I agree with what Archana said, because one thing I realized is the job market, to be very honest, it's an amalgamation of various skill sets. It's not a single job market is there that is for one particular specialization. We are
Right.
all competing for the same space, right? Now, what is on us is how well, like Kritika has mentioned, how well we define ourselves to fit into that role. Sometimes we have the skill sets, we do not know how to use the right words to, define ourselves. One thing I'll say, probably I'm digressing a little bit. I wanted to mention that, but I'll mention now. What I see is, you see the job postings by UN organizations. They will list set of skill sets that is required for that position. I would ask everyone to just look at those skill sets, and you will, if you really think, you will find that you are suitable for most of these. Most of these have been part of your training, you have imbibed them somehow, but then we don't do that properly. I have learned that also had the hard way, but that's how it is. So that's something, the point I'm trying to make is that, many people all over these sectors, because these are very similar sectors, right? So all of us, we are competing for the same jobs. Now, so the question is, do we have a specific job market? No, we don't. We are competing with everyone. Do we have specific skill sets to, compete in that job market? Definitely we do. Our specialization in agriculture, those technical specifications, like we have mentioned before, are what makes us unique, right? Like you rightly mentioned that even in JNU, BHU, they do work on agriculture. And that's true, but then that is what we also do, right? So the pool is kind of, becoming a little bit more specialized there. So
Yeah.
it's much less people that we are competing
Yeah.
with. Agriculture extension, again, how do you tweak and how do you actually say what your specialization is? Learn those language is so important in the development sector, so learn those language to kind of define what you are doing. That's an important skill to learn, so do that. But otherwise, we have the skills, we have the specializations to compete. It's just that we don't apply. Otherwise, I don't think, we are held back by anything else. Economists, I do work with economists. Probably many of the times the positions that I applied for, or I continue to apply for, are actually competing. I am competing with economists. But then the job roles are in the development sector are such that they also need a little bit of economics, they need a little bit of extension. So where am I lagging behind? I'm not, right? So sometimes, it's not our specialization that is holding us back, but it also the demand of the job that kind of doesn't create the space for us. So it's not just us always. But the important point is applying, understanding that we have the necessary skill sets to apply. Now I mean, what I tell myself, I've learned the hard way. What I tell myself is, let others reject you before you reject yourself. And I'll tell that to everyone, that, do not comment and decide on the specialization that you have or you do not have. Apply. Let the recruiters decide you have the specialization or not, just apply. So yeah, I think, that's it. I'll end here.
Okay, great. Kritika, do you want to add?
Yes, unfortunately or unfortunately, we need to compete with people from economic background or social sector background. People will JNU and people from Delhi universities. I know people from other TIS and organizations. So that is where we need to compete. The job market is filled with them, and then we need to compete with them. But I would say the edge we have, as I said earlier, is our technical skills. For example, in our NGOs, we are working exclusively on net zero emissions. We are working on climate-related projects. We are working on livelihood development, which has a lot of agricultural interventions, a lot of participatory planning, community mobilization. So all these are dominant. If you see our core areas and everything, it matches with exactly with the particular work what the NGOs do. So though we need to compete with them, I think that we definitely have the edge with regard to our technical skills. Just that we need to be a technological aggregator, I would say. We need to be an aggregator. We should focus on our knowledge management and our networking skills. We need to bring in that knowledge to that particular thing. So that I think that we definitely have that edge, despite our the space we are right now competing. So,
Yeah, we are unique in our own way. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Though we need not to compare ourselves with the economists and the agribusiness people, right? Okay, great. Okay, maybe probably this will be the last question to all of you. So many of the participants raise this. What is the job security? So do we have secure jobs? I don't know. Can we really say there is something called job security? Is it a myth or real? Again, only for public sector, like when it is coming to non-public and private sector, like NGO, CSO, is it there? So who goes first? Archana, can you?
I think it depends. I think if you are doing your job very well, I think there is scope to grow. That's what I have noticed. As of now, I have very limited experience, of course. But I think if you are good at your job and you're doing your job well, there is good scope. to grow further. But if you're simply there, okay, I got a job, now I need not do much, or I should not be passionate about my, interest and all, I think then you are maybe in danger. I think so.
Yeah.
And I think it's for someone who likes more challenges or wants to explore new areas and wants to work in a multidisciplinary, area, then I think it's a good way to go, especially NGO sector.
Okay, right. Kritika?
I would say that instead of we asking how can when job is the job secure, how can I make myself indispensable to the job? That is what is very important,
Right.
because
Yeah, maybe-
your degree is a passport, I would say. But how you are
Okay.
upgrading your skills, how you are diversifying your skills, how you are adapting to the particular job market, and building your technical expertise, that is very important, rather than putting any. If you ask me right now, any job is insecure. So we cannot say job insecurity is a abstract term, I would say. So
Okay.
even we should focus on more than fitting ourselves into that particular job. So I would say enhance the skills, enhance your diverse skill sets. So I have colleagues who have started modest and who are right now working in multinational organization, UN bodies and FAOs. So that
Yeah.
is because they've developed their expertise in that particular aspect.
Right.
So the moment you go, you will not be we just think that once you enter that you need to be a superpower and everything. It doesn't happen. Everything takes time. It's a process. So once you build that expertise, and definitely you can reach to a place where you wanted to be in the future. So any job, it happens. It's a part of any job.
Yeah,
You
maybe
don't
that
get
is true.
anything.
But yeah, but the conversation we are having is about the public and private. No, like people say, okay, when I get a public sector job, I just like till 60, I'm cool. That kind of attitude is there. So in that circumstance, and hiring and firing, people are concerned about, okay, how they will hire and how they will fire, whether they will fire like Elon Musk is doing, like you are fired kind of thing. This is how it will happen. People are
You
really
embrace.
yeah.
You embrace innovation. You stay relevant. Then you have a secure job.
Okay,
You,
right.
you need to be abreast with whatever is happening, and when you lag behind, that is where you know the job markets keeps you at beside. So when
Right.
you are picking up with the speed of what the job market demands, and then your job is secure.
Okay, great. Right.
Uh,
Suchi,
I'd like
you
to
want-
add,
Okay.
I
Okay.
think changing that attitude first is the first step, I think.
Yeah, definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
Changing that attitude is the first step, I think. Then we can go in that.
So the attitude towards job security should be changed.
That means like, okay, we'll get a stable job and then till 60 we'll see, then definitely it will affect the entire thing. We are always, our goal, we should also think about, okay, what we can contribute also. Yes, job security is very, very important. I agree to that.
Yeah.
But to have that attitude before joining itself, I'll be there till 60 and relax. I think that also needs to be thought about.
Okay, they should be revisited. Like we should be thinking whether we need, we should be thinking about what we are going to contribute rather than what the job is going to contribute to me.
Yeah, I mean, both you think, but I think most of the time that part is more
It's more dominant.
about
we-
that than that.
yeah. Okay. Suchi, do you want to add something?
Right. Yeah, I will. So, um, okay. See, one of the things that I really recognize is that uh, most of us who come from agricultural universities, extension background, or any other, agriculture background, many of us have a very modest economic background. So we do not have a lot to. Many of us do not have a lot to fall back on. If after PhD things doesn't go right, or in a job things doesn't go right, we do not always have we do not always have the wealth needed, the security needed, economic security to fall back on. So I understand the need for, or the desire for the security that government jobs provide, because whatever happens, at least you have your job secure. And then when I see how I have moved across the sector or those in the development sector, we do get hit by things happening across in the globally funding crunch after COVID. So many people in the development sector have lost their jobs because the funding stopped, funding was diverted elsewhere. So those risks are there. I am not denying that they are not there. But another thing that we need to also probably think of, and I will be very self-reflective when I say that, because 4 years back, the kind of decisions that I took, today sitting here right now, probably I won't be that rash in making those decisions. I have moved from very secure job to, random 2 year to possibly 1 year extension fellowship, with nothing to fall back on. This job happened, that's a good thing. If it didn't happen, then I would have been serious trouble. But I did that 3 years back. I had that guts or whatever. I did that. I took those decisions. And now what I can tell from that experience, what I can tell my juniors, my peers, is that I am so thankful, I took those decisions, took those rash decisions. Like my co-panelists have talked about upskilling. It's very important. The more we try to upskill ourselves, the more indispensable we become to the sector as a whole, to the job market as a whole, but not one specific job probably, but we always have options to move around.
Right.
What that upskilling does is also kind of broaden our worldview. We become in a better position to understand what opportunities lie beyond us. How can we diversify our career goals? Diversify the places that we can move to. So that way also it kind of broadens the options that you have in your career. Another very important thing is that, the kind of freedom that you get in your early career, right after your master's, right after your PhD, to explore, to experiment, you will never get that 8 years, 9 years down the line. So this is the time that you really take those. These are very calculated risks. These are not like random risks that you are taking, right?
Right.
These are calculated risks that have very high return. So I would really implore everyone to take those risks. Definitely these are risks. Obviously we do not have the security that government job provides, but then the kind of upskilling that you get, it's impossible in those secure, quote unquote secure jobs. For example, again, I'll just take one more minute to kind of say that what my personal experience, right? I was in a fairly secure job in ICRISAT. Then I decided to jump to a fellowship which had no future. And when I was making that skip, I had people, my seniors, my mentors, like well-wishers, tell me that why are you doing that? Why are you it's a fellowship. It's in a it's a very different environment. I was moving to IIT Delhi and IISc. I had a research project in IIT Delhi. I had one research project in IIT Delhi. IISc, IIT Delhi, and then I was working in DST. And I had no mentors there. I had no one to actually, connect to, take advice from. And I was told that if you are doing that, and then let's say after 3 years down the line, you don't have a secure job, what will you do? Here you are already secure in ICRISAT, so why are you leaving? But I wanted to explore and I moved, right? I took that decision and then I moved. And then what happened is that I got to work with people like, with physicists, with chemists, who had a PhD in chemistry, people like that. I developed interest in areas like research metrics. I had a project I applied for. I actually worked with a colleague who was interested in open science and, research metrics. I worked on that. We applied for a project. We had a project. We actually got a San Francisco Declaration on Research Assessment. This is an organization, SF DORA. We got a SF DORA funded project to understand and study how research, those research impact metrics are kind of understood, taken, carried out in India by the major funding bodies like DST, DBT, ICR, etc. We had workshops with them. So the kind of opportunities, the kind of basically understanding about research, about sector, about many other things beyond what I do. And those are eye-opening. Those I would not have gotten if I had just sat in ICRISAT or just sat in Manage, right? So these risks that I took, they actually paid out. They really helped me do what I do right now. And from my own experience, that's why I want to ask everyone, request everyone that take those risks. These are very calculated risks. And how many government jobs are there at the end of the day? There are not many. So then you have to diversify. So if you're diversifying, take those risks. Go into, try for those interdisciplinary areas, where you can meet people from actually transdisciplinary, research you can do. That would be eye-opening. So take those risks. They are secure, and if they are not secure right now, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years down the line, they will make you one of the most secure people in your sector. So go for them.
Okay, so job security is a myth because there are no government jobs enough. Not real, that is true. So anyway, people have to agree. That's why we are conducting this, and many of the students are participating. So really, I wish to thank you. And now we are almost like 10 minutes ahead of our plan. But we will keep the questions in the chat box only. We will ask now, I'll ask Rashid to ask few questions from the chat box so that you can answer. And after that question and answer session, we will close. Thank you so much. It was a great interaction with you three.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think it was a great session, I would say, because I'm very happy that now you people are really young people, and then you are able to articulate and your passion for maybe the juniors in the discipline and all the advice you have given. I will just focus on 3 questions which I have taken it from the one is on the, maybe I'm just saying all these, then you can looking at the time. One is the importance of digital skills. So one people have asked in this getting into these jobs. Digital skills is a very broad term. Another question is about, I think maybe this is maybe for Suchi in terms of policy. If you to strengthen your understanding on policy related skills, maybe becoming a policy analyst, what kind of what kind of skills are needed? And I think some of the few other questions which I've already answered, like maybe what are the skills which NGOs are looking forward and all those kind of things. Maybe let us take these 2 first, and then we'll see. Maybe you can start with Suchi and then go Archana and then Kritika.
Right. So digital skills, again, like Dr. Suleiman, you mentioned, it's a very big term, wide term. How I understand digital skill is probably a little bit of data visualization, designing. But one of the important things to kind of as an early career researcher, probably how to use social media to your advantage. I think I'll take that also as a digital skill, which is extremely important to learn. This is how you kind of, build your network. People know you. So talk about your research. I say that to many other people as well, my juniors. Talk about your research on social media, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, connect with people that you feel are in the periphery of your work, like not just doing exactly what you do, but on the periphery, something related, things you are interested in. Talk to them, interact on social media, learn how to write those, concisely, your research about the work that you do, your thoughts, etc. They are very helpful. So that's what I would take as a digital skill, and that's what I have to say. As for policy analyst, it's a very research oriented area. So definitely, data analysis skills would be extremely important. Learn softwares, R, Stata, SPSS. These are very important if you are going into policy analysis. Because these are research analysis and data analysis skills are very important, along with and statistics. It's very important. Your statistics, why you are doing what you are doing. That's very important to learn. Going back to again research methodology, connecting it to research methodology, very in-depth, good understanding, building strong base of research methodology would be very important. Work on that, but also learn software tools, data analysis software tools. So that is the 2 things I'll focus on.
Okay, Archana.
Yeah, I agree with whatever she said. Besides the research skill, I'll also like to mention, maybe if you are interested, if you have an interest in that, I think you can also venture into designing skills, which also helps communicate your research or other part in a much in a layman's language, like not a very jargonic thing, but make it more visually appealing. And now I think we need not learn some hi-fi softwares, because already a lot of digital platforms are there where someone who doesn't know much editing and other things, they can easily make things. For example, Canva is a very good example. You can easily make presentations, you can easily make brochures, you can easily make any kind of media material, you can easily make through such softwares. So I think that also comes in handy in communicating your thing. And of course, social media is one of the things. I am also learning constantly on that. Like on the job also, I'm learning a lot of things when it comes to managing social media.
Maybe Kritika, maybe digital skills mostly.
Digital skills, as I presume it is with regard to like how you, interact with your audiences or your community or whatever it is. But I would say that you have to make use of social media proactively, networking for networking, and how to use your analytical skills in a better way. Learning new software is always a big thing, but I would say that if you are interested, you can even go for GIS, no QGIS or any remote sensing related, which will be really helpful if you are looking taking care of projects with regard to climate. You can add up to your project. So any new skill is always a better thing, but digital skill, to me, it's a broad area to talk to, but these are the areas which you can look for: building your analytical skills, building your software learning skills, and your social
Okay.
media skills.
Okay, very good. Actually, I'm just looking at the time because we have to close at maybe within 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So some of the questions we have tried to answer it in the chat, but now since we already have the email IDs of people, so we can always get back to you with some of the specific answers. So I need to really make some kind of a concluding remarks in the sense to before we close the session. I think I personally feel this has been a great beginning in the sense because I learned a lot that there is a lot of jobs exist, but we need to package and we need to present ourselves. So it is not that we only apply for jobs which are having only the extension or maybe in the title. So we need to basically read the job descriptions, as Kritika also mentioned. I also today got a lot of good quotes from all of you, especially in terms of upskilling, don't self-restraint, take a risk. I think maybe you are also saying that you need to liberate yourselves or ourselves from the public sector mentality, because there is a world outside which gives you a lot of opportunities to learn, experiment, and basically build new capacities. Two specific things. I think we also have recommendations for the universities and also for the students in a sense. I think internship. So the importance of internship. I think at the masters and PhD level, when the new curricula was discussed, we try to put the importance of internship, but then ICR at the higher level, that disappeared. But still, there are a lot of opportunities for internships. Even CRISP is offering internships. Manage has been doing a lot of very interesting internship for students. So I think there is no substitute for, learning through internship. You cannot read it from the books. So I think internship that also makes our life easy, because the transition, I think from the job readiness, I think we'll be able to quickly transition to other jobs if you are having this internship. So that is something very, very interesting. And also another is this kind of a placement cell. So I would say maybe there are two interesting things, because this is something the universities need to think about. Now many of the students are coming out of their own interest. It's not, the universities are not pushing them to do internships. So I think we need to have an internship as well as a kind of a placement cell. But that also means the faculty also needs to understand the changing job markets. So then only they will be able to help people find the right opportunities. There are a few small things which I basically wrote. Two things. One is about the skills that are needed. I wrote about coordination skills, learning, problem-solving skill, be adaptive. Then also there is a lot of other skills about writing skills. It was mentioned action research skills, because from an academic, we need to also learn how action research is conducted. Policy understanding, networking, knowledge management related skills, because these are the areas where there is a lot of really opportunities exist. And there are a number of jobs I could see from the CSO sector, in the CGIAR institutions, which are all and many of these roles are related to development coordination, communication, I think community documentation, knowledge management, training coordinator, social media manager, impact manager, monitoring and evaluation. So there are a lot of opportunities which we need to look for and make ourselves maybe ready for the kind of the changing job markets. And you also talked about the advantages we have, because unlike core social scientists, we also have this kind of both technical and social science skills. But there is a lot needs to be done in terms of maybe preparing ourselves, our students, to be more ready for the job market. So that means continuous upskilling is so important. And coming to this, as I said about degree, as I think Riya also mentioned, the degree is a passport. Because don't think that, okay, you have a degree and now our learning is over. So to stay relevant, we need to keep continuously work hard. And another point is we need to understand that we means our students, the new generation has to understand that they need to compete in a market which is highly competitive. So it's so critical that we continue to improve, I think, through certification, through internships, many of these online courses. So there is many things which we will be able to know. Other skills I also noted, like project management cycle, community engagement. So there's a lot that could be done. To conclude, finally, so first of all, I wanted to thank all the panelists who agreed to participate in this kind of a thing. And at AESA, we are also thinking of maybe doing another series, maybe with other set of people, so that we continue to basically illuminate the pathways for the next generation and show the kind of the broad and the huge opportunities that exist, and so that we don't self-restrict ourselves and then get disappointed. Definitely, there is a bit of a frustration among the students because they are not aware. So I think through these kind of webinars, panel discussions, we really wanted to help students find new job opportunities. I think maybe we'll close here. Alagu, is it fine? Maybe anything you want to add?
Shall we take a photo, like a
Yes.
screenshot?
Okay. Can everyone open the camera so that we can take a picture? I don't know how many how it is all coming, but maybe.
Yeah, people are opening.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Christopher. Yeah. Smile.
And then we'll see how